In this version of Project 3.2, I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to go about blending two images. Um, on further reflection, I should say, of what I decided to do, I decided to change my background image to this one and to blend it with this image of the wolf. I do not want anybody to do something, and I'm going to blend it kind of this way, top to down instead of side to side. But you'll notice I don't want anybody to necessarily do something quite so simple as, a 50-50 top to bottom with a straight line across, even when blending. So we will take a look at how this happens and how I go about doing it. I'll try to walk you through it, and I'll be showing you things where I'm going to be probably making mistakes along the way. All right, I'll be back in just a minute. So now I've expanded my window a little bit so that you can see my layers over here to the right. What I'm going to start off by doing and suggest that perhaps you guys do, and I'm working on a black background. Not everybody needs to do that. You can choose whatever background that you want to. But I'm going to turn on the portrait that I'm using here, and you'll notice that one of the things that happens right off the bat is it's kind of got this cutout poster um, postage stamp look to it, as though it's the only thing on the page or in the document. What I want to do is I want to go in here with my eraser, and I'm going to set my eraser fairly large and really, really soft. And I'm going to make it so that the hardness is set to, I would say maybe 75%. So I don't want to take out too much all at once. So the size is larger, as you can see. I'll make it down a little bit. And the amount that it erases is reduced. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start taking away. Wait a minute, I've got my hardness. Hardness is down. Okay, what I want to do is I want to be able to take a little less away at a time to this. There we go. Rather than making it look a little less posterized. And get rid of some of the distinctions around the edges of things so that you kind of become, more of a ghostly image, if you will. And now I'm going to take and bring in the wolf image from above, and I think I've got the eyes pretty well set up over the top of where my eyes are. One way to determine this, of course, is to take and bring in some rule lines that will show. I'm putting that right kind of like in the center of my eyes, and side to side and top to bottom is about there. And then if we turn the wolf image back on, yeah, it's in about the right spot. I might move it down, make sure I'm on the right layer, and then move it down just a little bit and over so that the eyes line up exactly where I want them to be. I'm going to turn off my extras right now so I don't have those in my way while I'm working. Now, the first thing that we'll probably do is we need to get rid of this background behind the wolf. So I'm just going to very quickly, using my marquee tool, or my polygonal lasso tool. I'm going to use the magnetic one, and the reason for that is I can kind of click. Oh no, I'm sorry. I don't want the magnetic one. See, I'm making mistakes. So you're learning from this. Anyway, I'm going to use the magnetic tool. I'm going to use just the polygonal one. I want to just be able to click and drag where I want the points to go so that I can, and I'm going to go in as close to the wolf's side as I can, and then I'll come back in and do some final erasing. The problem being is that the wolf is gray and the background is kind of gray, but the background is a cool gray and the wolf is a little warmer, and I'm hoping to be able to eliminate parts of him that way. And go around here and down and then back over here and click. Once I've got the marching ants, I can just hit delete, and that gets rid of most of the background layer. Right, so now what I want to do is I want to go in and begin to get rid of some of this stuff. But I don't need to go into a great deal of work on the lower part of this because of the fact I've already decided that I'm going to probably eliminate a good part of the bottom. So I'm going to go back in here with my polygonal lasso tool and just hog out a part of the bottom of the wolf down here that I know that I'm not even going to use, and just hit delete, and then you'll see me appear in behind that. So now what I want to do is I want to go in and begin to eliminate portions of the wolf down in here, exposing my face. So I'm on the wolf capture layer, and I'm going to go back in here with my eraser tool set fairly large and begin to make some eliminations to the wolf itself. And this is going to expose me where the wolf is. Now I'm going to make my eraser a bit smaller. And the reason is I'm going to expose one of my eyes, but not the other. And then I'm going to get rid of some of this out here. And see, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it look a little less cut out around the edges so that the image of the wolf kind of blends into my own hair. And the other thing that you can do is you can do multiple copies of the wolf portion itself. Go back in and take some more of that out. And then you can take parts of the wolf that's over the top, the layer, and dim it a little bit. So for instance, if I'll shut this off, I'll use this layer, I'll get rid of this eye, more or less, not just the bottom part of it, and then bring this back up, and then dim this a little bit, and we'll see what we get. Kind of like that, because what I want to show is kind of this blend between my own eye and the eye of the wolf. Okay, so I'm going to pause this a little bit, and I'll come back in a minute here, and we will work on the upper part of the wolf's ears. Okay. What I've done now is I've come in here and I've turned on this additional layer, the dimmed layer of the eye for the purpose of using the eye, and I want to eliminate the ears from that altogether. Because I've already got the ears located in this layer right here, and I don't need duplications of it, especially if I'm going to go back in and do some editing of the ears on this layer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be on this layer, go back to my polygonal lasso tool, and go back in and just completely get rid of that top portion of the dimmed layer, because I don't want that showing through when I make edits to the layer below, which is this layer here. So I'm going to turn that off now, turn this back on. As you can see, it's the additional eye detail which is existing right here is coming through from this layer. You can shut that off. You can see less so from that layer below. So now what we want to do is we want to go in and kind of clean up this area here, make it look a little less like a cutout poster. Looks a little funny. So I'm going to go in here and detail this a little bit. And this is where you can take your eraser tool and sure we're on the layer we want. See, it's rather large right now, and I want to make a very soft eraser around the edges of that right here. so as to retain some of the fluffiness of the fur of the wolf from the original gray background layer that the wolf was on. Kind of a night, or not a night, but a winter scene in the snow, the gray sky. And I just want to kind of go along and kiss the edge of that and just kind of get rid of that rather distinct poster cutout. Now, what we're seeing right here, that little bump right there, is actually a part of my head appearing from the layer below, this layer down here. So we're going to have to go back in and move that. Now I'm going to hold down my shift key and use my hand to move the whole thing over and just continue going along here, cleaning up the edges of that. Go back in here. What I'm trying to do is just get rid of that rather cartoon looking edge to the whole thing there. Now I'm going to zoom back out, hold down my Alt key, and grab my hand and move it over into the image. And it's starting to look kind of like what I want to, but I need to get rid of that bump, which is the actual top of my head from this layer here. And I can just simply go in there and get rid of that. Chop off the very top of my head from behind. It looks like I've got a little bit of stuff still going on out here from this layer. You can kind of see a little bit of a ghosting just beyond where I removed a lot of the stuff when I erased. And this is beginning to look more like what I want it to be. My face is still a little bit bright. I'm going to go in and do some erasing down in here, get rid of the more distinct portions of the bottom part of my portrait there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my whole layer there and dim it down. There we go. That looks pretty good. So this is kind of like what I want you guys to try to achieve. Something like this, where you've done, you know, something more along the lines of blending the image of the animal into your own image. Now, I could continue to tweak this and go on, and I might before I do the end, but this is kind of like what I want you to achieve. As you can see, it takes a little bit of work back and forth, adding various layers, making soft erasures, pulling things down. The one thing that I didn't do here is you can kind of go in and you can use your smudge tool. For instance, I'll go to this layer here, and let's say, for instance, that I wanted to blend some of the hair of the wolf into my own hair in the background. If I'm in the wolf layer here, I can come in here and grab my smudge tool, and it's set pretty broad right now, and I can adjust that down in size and make sure that the hardness is down. And then I can kind of like grab some of the hairs of the wolf. You want to be really careful with this because it can get to looking pretty fake pretty quick, because it's just not as fine as actual hair might be. So you need to be cautious about that kind of stuff. But in an overall composition, it might work out just fine. So that's kind of what I had in mind. So take a look at yours, figure out what it is that you want to do, and have at it. All right. All for now. I will see you guys in the next video.